Have you ever wondered how long a human being is truly meant to live? Not how long we can live, or how long we usually live, but how long we were actually designed to live as beings, as organisms, as souls. Today I want to share a theory, a strange, unsettling, and fascinating theory. It's about time, death, and something called the measure. Let's begin with the word death. It's a word that feels final, heavy, cold. But where did this word come from? Some say it comes from Latin, others from Sanskrit. Some trace it to the ancient Indo-European root mer, which meant to disappear or to die. But there's another possibility, a forgotten one. What if death was never just an end, but a measurement? Think about this. We measure everything: distance, temperature, pressure, time. We even measure success, beauty, happiness. But what if human life itself, our time on this planet, was always measured too? Not just statistically, but spiritually. There's an old expression: he lived his full measure. What does that mean? What is this measure everyone speaks of without realizing it? In many ancient cultures, the number 100 had a special significance. It wasn't just a round number, it was a sacred one. A full century of life was seen as a divine gift, a complete cycle. To reach 100 wasn't just to live long, it was to fulfill a contract, a spiritual agreement. In this theory, every person is granted 100 years. This isn't just poetic language. It's meant literally. You were measured, and 100 was your number. But here's the strange part. This measure isn't guaranteed. It can be shortened, reduced, interrupted, or stolen. Some believe that humanity used to live longer, much longer. There are stories dismissed as myths of people living to 120, 140, even 200 years. In the Bible, for example, lifespans stretch into centuries. Ancient Chinese records speak of sages who lived for 2 lifetimes. Indigenous cultures across the world have oral histories of elders who seem to defy age itself. But modern science says otherwise. Today we're told that living to 80 is lucky, 90 is rare, and 100 is almost superhuman. Why? Who decided this? And more importantly, who benefits from shortening the measure? Let's go back in time. In the 1800s, average life expectancy was supposedly around 45-50 years, but that number is misleading. It includes infant mortality, poor laborers, disease outbreaks, and war casualties. But it doesn't reflect the full picture. What about aristocrats, landowners, writers, poets, monks? Many of them lived long lives. Records from the 19th century show numerous individuals reaching their 80s and 90s, despite having no modern medicine, no antibiotics, and no hospitals as we know them today. Even in Imperial Russia, old advertisements from the 1800s show elderly men and women promoting medical devices, coffee, travel. They were clearly functional, active, and part of daily society. So why do we believe that people back then dropped dead at 50? Maybe it's easier to sell modern progress when you convince people that the past was grim. There's a narrative. Before science, people died young. Now, thanks to pharmaceuticals, we live longer than ever. But is it true? Switzerland is one of the healthiest nations today. According to current data, average life expectancy is about 81 years for men and 85 for women. Impressive. But go back to 1876, the same region reported an average life expectancy of just 42. Did Swiss citizens suddenly double their lifespan in 1 century? Or did something else happen, a redefinition of how we measure life? Let's look elsewhere. Namibia, in Africa, ranks low on global life expectancy charts, same with Ghana. Many African countries are listed as poor in terms of health outcomes. But people who've lived there, travelers, researchers, locals, tell a different story. They describe communities where elderly people are active, where 100-year-olds still ride horses, grow food, walk to markets, where death is not feared but accepted because life is full, natural, and real. In Ghana, when someone dies, their portrait is placed on a public board like an obituary wall. One photo showed a woman who died at 120, and no one found it strange. Why is this kind of longevity not in the statistics? Some say it's underreported. Others believe it's ignored because it doesn't fit the narrative. Instead, we're told to look at Japan and Hong Kong. That's where people live long lives, they say. But some reports suggest that these numbers are inflated, that deceased people are sometimes left on government records so that pensions continue to be paid. Families don't report the deaths, and so statistics look better than they are. Whether that's true or not, one thing is clear: the numbers we're shown aren't always the truth. And this brings us back to the measure. Imagine that every generation is assigned a lifespan, not biologically, but culturally, politically, economically. Europe, for instance, has been assigned a measure of 80 years, and everything supports that. The food, the health advice, the pension system. It's like the entire society is calibrated to that number. Palm oil is everywhere. Synthetic vitamins replace nutrients. Processed food dominates the shelves. Movement is minimized. Stress is maximized. We are told this is normal. But what if it's not? What if this is a way to reduce the measure to quietly lower expectations and shift the norm? Think about it. If people expect to die at 80, they plan accordingly. They don't build long-term visions. They don't demand more from life. They don't explore what's possible beyond that limit. But if the measure is artificial, if it used to be 100 or more, then we're living in a system of managed decline. And here's the chilling part. What if it's not accidental? Some say we live in an age of controlled lifespans, not because we must, but because it's convenient. For governments, for systems, for profit. Shorter lives mean faster turnover, less pensions to pay, more dependency on medication, more money spent on treatment instead of prevention, more fear of death, which makes people easier to manipulate. Even those who escape the system, who eat clean, live simply, think freely, are often dismissed as exceptions. But maybe they're the ones returning to the original measure. In Namibia, some German settlers still live off the land, growing their own food, riding horses, breathing clean air. Many are over 90, some are over 100, and they don't even think it's special. They just live. In contrast, many urban Europeans struggle with obesity, stress, sleep issues, and chronic illness despite having access to the best health care. So what's really going on? Some believe we've forgotten the basics: sun, water, movement, purpose, connection. Others say it's deeper, that we've been disconnected from the rhythms of nature itself. The idea of the measure isn't just about time, it's about balance, harmony, a life lived in tune with something bigger. When we eat artificial food, live in artificial light, and think artificial thoughts, we lose the signal. We lose the measure. But here's the good news. It's still there, waiting. Some indigenous elders say that your true measure is encoded in your breath, in the way your heart beats, in the way you sleep, rise, and move. It's not something you calculate, it's something you feel. You know when you're aligned. You know when your life is being stretched or shortened. And if you listen closely, life speaks to you. Through fatigue, through pain, through longing. It says, you are not at your full measure. You were meant for more. More vitality, more clarity, more years, not just to exist, but to live. Yes, we all die, eventually. But what if death isn't the end? What if it's the moment your measure runs out or is taken too soon? You were given 100 years. That was the original blueprint. Maybe it's time to reclaim it. Not with drugs, not with hacks, not with fear, but with presence, with truth, with food that's alive and breath that's deep, and thoughts that are your own. The modern world is full of distractions. They steal your time, your energy, your years. But you can take them back, step by step, bite by bite, thought by thought. You are more powerful than you were told, and your life is longer than they let you believe. Reclaim the measure. Live the years, all of them.